My name is Bill Apple, and my interest in blacksmithing started probably in the early 1970s in the old welding blacksmith shop. He was just standing there in a sea of fire, it looked like, and he was burning, and I didn't know what it was at the time. With my mother screaming in the background, "Don't watch, you'll go blind." Welding was my first interest. A high school teacher I had, Pete Sorensen. I was a troubled student, learning disability, had trouble reading, dyslexic, and I picked up a welding lead and a stinger in that as a sophomore in high school. That was in 1977, and I could weld. I went to the gas bench, I could pick up a torch, and I could weld. I mean, it was a hand-eye coordination thing. And basically, that launched me into welding. About 30 years ago, I actually got to where I got a forge and an anvil and started blacksmithing into an artistic form. I really was that kid that had trouble with things, and welding was a deal that all of a sudden it came easy to me. Everybody has things that come easy to them, and reading, academics, school, from the day I went to kindergarten till the day I got out, I promised my mother the night she died that I would finish high school. That's the reason I got a high school diploma. The trade's been good to me. I'm a retired union boilermaker and union iron worker. I made a good living. We're going to have rocket scientists. We need nuclear physicists, but the reality of it is we need people that can fix the light in your house, people that can work in your car. Basically want to encourage young people to create with their hands. It can be painting, it can be anything. But get off your computer, get off your game. Take something that doesn't look like anything and turn it into something. It can be all kinds of different deals. It doesn't have to be blacksmithing. To make a living as an artist blacksmith, that's a tough one. It can be done, but it's like any art form. You're gonna have to have other means. So there again, go learn to weld, do things like that. One thing I was fortunate here, some of the best blacksmiths in the world are right here in the Pacific Northwest. And I took a class from Darrell Nelson and on his animal heads, and that was a deal how to make the tools and how to make the pre-shapes and everything to make animal heads, and that opened up all kinds of doors. In that form, with your pre-shape, you're taking metal and it's almost like leather work. You make different tools and you can create the eyes and things like that. It's just like an artist drawing with his shading and that. You can do that with metalwork. The artist blacksmith, in a sense like that, is he's stealing half a dimension with shadows and things to make it try and look three-dimensional. We'll do some of that today. We'll take a piece of bar and we'll make a horse head on the end of a piece of flat bar, and it's quite a transformation when you see it happen. I've got a lot of equipment here, but you don't really need that much. If you've got a forge, a little anvil, it can be a chunk of railroad iron to get you started. It's functional art. A lot of it is things that people hang. You make a door pull or something like that, it's on a door, but it's got a function. It's not like the picture hanging on the wall. You're going to grab it and pull on it. You can make it completely just a hunk of iron sitting there, or you can make it something that people say, boy, that looks nice. So I guess that makes you feel good. This is a Art Deco piece that I did in a workshop some years ago, and as I mentioned, I was various people in the blacksmithing world that I was very fortunate to meet. I mentioned Darrell Nelson earlier and Gary Eagle. That would be my Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig in the blacksmith world. This was a Gary Eagle design piece that I made in a workshop, and the deal was it was Art Deco and you made all of the elements. And I took several, I think there was 5 classes. I took all those from Gary. And then the red glass red always looks good on ironwork in my opinion. This was another deco piece done in a Gary Eagle class that I never did finish. I needed to clean it up and wax it. I might be inspired to do that here after this. This is a traditional blacksmith piece. There's a blacksmith, Christoph Frederick is essentially, I believe, credited with the split cross, but I'm not sure if he's the originator or what, but he's famous for crosses, and this is a split cross made out of a bar, and you split it both ways, and that's how you create the diamond in the center. And I designed the base and did that, and my intention here was kind of, we all stand at the crossroads, and the little cross is past, present, and future. So, not necessarily the religious side, we all stand at the crossroads of life. These are a thing that I've done a lot of. There was an old blacksmith named Lou Warland had an idea. He'd heard about somebody making feathers from horseshoes. I never did meet him or see the actual original, but this was my rendition of that. That's a horseshoe cut in half. This is a standard door pull, finial that you don't see that often with the diamond ends. Rope twist, you would call that. That's 11 inches of a 5/8 square. I should have had that for a deal, but you've got quite a transformation there. There's a horse head hoof pick. I don't have the finished product there. I've got a hoof pick over there, but it's a hoof pick with the rollover mane. So and we're going to make one of those today. It'll go pretty fast, and it's kind of interesting to watch how there's the beginning and there's the end. When I was doing farmers markets, there was a gal came in with an Alice Waters cookbook on cooking an egg over a campfire, and so this is what she said she wanted, and I made a little egg cooker for her, and a hinge. That's all. Nothing welded on or anything. The eyes are made out and cut out and rolled over on the anvil. All hand and handmade. You can see how the eye of the hinge is forged in the end of the bar. It's not welded on. That's just rolled over and run down there, and the ends how it's tucked in, and then there's the hinges there. If you drill a hole, you'll have a straight hole. This is just the bar. What we got here, we cut a slot and then you drive a drift through there. And essentially that's what gives you the swell. Anytime you see a swell like that in ironwork, is it was slit and drifted, which was a traditional deal. This is another door pull that'd be riveted on. And this is a traditional deal with a ring. In other words, all your old harness work and that had lots of rings. The thing that we have now with an electric welder, you can weld anywhere you go. Back in the old days, basically the only way you could weld was the blacksmith had to get both pieces hot, and he had to get them hot in a fire and then do it on the face of an anvil, which is a forge weld they call it. Primarily most of the stuff I do is, I wouldn't say I'm a purist completely. I have modern equipment, but most of the stuff is old school technology and techniques is what I do and try and stick with. The old blacksmith would have had no hammer marks. That would have been a deal there where, like this weld, in the old days, you wouldn't have been able to see any of the line, as they call that a shut. But in today's world, everybody wants to see that. They want to see those hammer marks. There's some English books that were done in the 50s, very, very well done books, and they call that would be do you want a machine appearance or a rugged appearance? These are tools that I made. These were made out of jackhammer bits. So part of the deal with the blacksmith is, I don't know that you'll meet a blacksmith that isn't a tool guy, and he's kind of like a fisherman needing a new lure and a new widget. Whether he needs it or not, he'll have to have it, but the blacksmith is the king of the crafts. He's got to be able to make the tools, and once he can make the tools, then there's no limitation. All right, what we're going to do, we're going to make this horse head. That'll be the end deal. It's a hoof pick for a horse person. And basically we're going to start out with the bar just like that. There'll be several steps we have to go through, and you'll get to see how it goes. As the bar gets hot, we're going to, basically there'll be several steps. We'll take his nose, this part will be the first step, and then we'll go down here and we'll get the jaw line, then we'll work things over and we'll create a little bit of indentation here to create his face. We'll do the eye. We've got different tools that we use here, and as I go into the different steps, I'll show you the different tools we're going to use. We're going to go to the edge of the anvil and we're going to create that nose. Now we're going to come back to create his jaw. As you can see, we've already started a horse's head starting to come out there. That was one heat and basically just some blows. And now we'll come around here and we'll kind of create his nose a little bit. We'll pull the mane out next, and that's going to come over, and then we'll texture the back side, then we'll roll everything over with a wooden hammer. Now here we'll pull his mane out. I'm using the peen of the hammer. Basically I'm spreading here and I'm pushing with that. So what I'm doing there, that cross deal is pushing that way. And basically, and I can dig. Now we got a good heat, we can spread some more. And this is a deal here, a lot of sayings you hear, strike while the iron's hot, too many irons in the fire. See, we're starting to get into that black color, it's not hot enough. We're gonna cut his mouth in, we're gonna put his eye in, and a nostril. So basically that's what we're going to do with these. There you can see his nose, his mouth. I'm going to put the main on now. I'll go on that piece of wood and I'm going to basically do that. Again, the wooden hammer. There's your horse head hoof pick. We'd have to cut the other end off. This is the welding flux. We get that good and hot. All right, we got the weld made. It's stuck together. Now we'll pound it out. We'll take another heat. There's a ring for a door pull, or log boom, or whatever you're going to do. Basically, the other rivet's going to go like that, and we'll heat that up and head that up just like we did on the other one. And there we go. Got a forge welded ring with a little keeper that we made and a piece of plate. We'd drilled the holes where you didn't see that, but had essentially be tumbled. And originally I made a bunch of these. They evolved into door pulls. Originally they were for cross tie rings in a big horse barn. Basically back in the old days, the logging camp, blacksmith and what have you, guys' lives depended on those welds. He was pretty well revered in the camp. The cook and the blacksmith were two very important people. One guy had to feed you and the other guy could keep you from getting killed.